Kids are grown. Doesn't have a husband, so I guess. Go back for it.
Where'd she go? Oh, she did? Man. Although I've heard beautiful things about it.
Last year or something.
Yeah.
They go to all sorts of concerts.
Did she go with her boyfriend or did she go with her son?
I didn't even know. For years. I assume it's her kids, but
Yeah, I don't either.
The young man by Matt, his name. K-A-D-E. And so
He's on contract right now.
Oh, yeah.
He was a student and then he went to KU. It wasn't for him. So he's back and he's on contract for this semester.
She might be on another day.
Yeah.
I don't either.
Yeah. Aaron, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, we can't hear Aaron though.
One moment.
Oh, there you are.
Are you good?
No.
We're good. We have a big echo.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Hello.
All is here that we expect.
If we can get rid of this echo, we will be.
Okay. Let's.
Did that fix it? I think we're good.
Streaming.
Yes.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Mary Martha, we good? Okay.
You wonder who's really in charge.
Hey, absolutely. Well, you're already standing up. We will start our regular board meeting of the Butler Community College Board of Trustees. It is February 11th, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we move to the agenda, I just want to ask that everyone please join me in a moment of silence to remember Lindsay Fields. Lindsay was the biology chair here at Butler and was one of the victims of American Airlines flight number 5342. She was a beloved faculty member and will most certainly be missed. Thank you. With that, do we have any proposals with respect to the agenda? I guess before anyone said, let me preemptively say there's at everybody's place, there is an updated copy of the minutes from last month's meeting. I noticed that the roll call vote results for one of the action items didn't make it into the minutes, so didn't make it into the minutes that were in the board book. They're in the minutes that are at your spot. So we will just substitute those in. So unless anybody else has any other edits to the minutes, we don't need to amend the agenda just for that reason.
I do have an edit to it if we could skip what I was going to do. I had asked, Kent said the administration proposes moving $1 million from deferred maintenance and the general fund. And in here, just, it doesn't mention $1 million, which is what I specifically asked to be put in the minutes. I guess mine are on the floor. But if we could put that in there, I won't move it. Let minutes. I asked that they
That
be
was for
amended to
December, correct?
state that the administration proposes moving I want to do the Dr. Evil, $1 million.
I think I got everything but the exact 1 million, so I'll fix that.
Because it just says dollar. But fine.
Yep.
But that gets amended.
Mhm.
I have no additions to the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Did you want to add the 1 million?
No, she's just gonna,
Oh, you're
yeah.
Okay, so
Dave, you moved to approve the agenda, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then Shelby seconded.
Yep.
Trustee Good,
yes.
trustee Brungard is absent, trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
yes,
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody. That passes 6-0. We will move on to recognitions and I'll turn it over to Dr. Vietti.
And we do have a number of noteworthy recognitions. We will begin with Butler Creative TV as represented by Matt Jacobs. So come on down, Matt. They have been recognized by the Wichita Business Journal as an Innovation Award recipient and will gather in Wichita, I believe in March, right? For recognition luncheon. So congratulations and keep up the great work. Yay. Yeah. Next, in continuing to celebrate the heartbeat of the institution, exceptional teaching, we have Miles Erpelding, who was selected by BCCEA Master Teacher for 2025. Well deserved. And we also have Teaching Excellence Awards. And our recipients for this year are Jennifer Sutter and Rua Ann Olmstead. So if they would help. Then Mr. Faculty Development, you get your certificates to complete. Next, we would like to recognize Gabriel Hoffman and Christina Yen for their work with Level Up. So, please. Thank you. And then, as if that is not enough, I think you saw photos of the fabulous ambiance for our faculty professional development days. They kicked off this second week in January. So we would like to call forward the faculty development team. Great work. If those decorations. Those decorations were added. And that concludes the recognitions for this month.
Okay, thank you. I understand that we do have at least a couple of people that would like to publicly comment, so I will read our standard blurb in that regard. So the general public is welcome to address the Board of Trustees under the public comment section of the regular board meeting agenda. Public comment should be germane to the business and activities of the Board of Trustees. The public is also welcome to address the Board of Trustees during the public comment portion of any special meeting agenda, but the public comment at the special meeting should be related to an agenda item of that special meeting. Personnel issues are prohibited from public comment. The board chair will ask visitors wishing to make brief comments to identify themselves and the topic they are wishing to address. If several members of one group or organization wish to speak to the board concerning the same item, the board chair may ask the group to identify a single spokesperson. A time limit of 5 minutes has been set for each recognized member or spokesperson of the audience to speak to the board. The board will take no action during the public comment period of the board meetings. However, it will take the matter under deliberation and, if appropriate, direct the president to follow up with a written response and report at the next regular board meeting. And I'll just take these in the order that they are sitting in front of me. So, well, Amy's standing up. So if you want to jump in, go right ahead. Don't forget to turn the mic off.
Is it all set? perfect, and I'm short. So I'm gonna read the letter I actually sent out to my trustees in my area, Forrest, David, and Mary Martha. So I'm gonna alter this a little bit. And I'm not sick, I'm just dealing with allergies like many of you guys. So, right? So, thank you for allowing me the honor to address you. I haven't done this before, so it's a little nerve-wracking. But I'm speaking to you in regard to the decision to cease live streaming the Board of Trustees meetings. So, firstly, I've taught at Butler Community College since 2011 as a professor of English and also the Lantern newspaper advisor. Outside of my full time at the college, I also work part-time at the El Dorado Dillons, not because I love to work or love of money. It's just a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. Unfortunately, working two jobs does prevent me from attending some of the board meetings. So I do watch the meeting on YouTube, usually at another time. I was disappointed to learn that Heather Morgan with the Kansas Association of Community Colleges is recommending that colleges cease with live streaming videos. After watching the January board meeting, it was also concerning to see that only 2 members spoke against such action. So I do thank Shelby and Christy, I believe, for speaking up. There are those of us who work at the college and are not able to attend such meetings, whether it's due to work obligations or childcare obligations. As you well know, these meetings can exceed 2 to 3 hours, sometimes a little bit longer. So for those of us having the opportunity to watch on YouTube allows us to watch from home if we're not able to attend. So I ask for those of you here today to vote on 2 options, one of 2 options, either to continue to live stream or to record and upload later. While I understand that Heather Morgan's statement can be taken out of context as far as what the board members say, I think that someone who's a reasoned citizen will be able to understand the scope of discussion or decision. The minutes, unfortunately, just don't convey that spirit. So I ask that you vote for either, again, those 2 options to either continue live streaming or to record and upload for those of us who can't come. Thank you. And I have copies of my letter.
Thank you, Amy.
Oh, sorry. Amy Chastain. It's different from teaching.
I would take a copy just for my records.
Of course.
Okay.
I didn't alter it from the email, so
And I have it in the email.
yes.
And we could make sure every board member
Oh, yeah.
gets a copy.
Okay, perfect.
Let's do that.
Okay. I'll just do that. And do you want to make a copy for Shelby?
Well,
Or I've got,
oh, you just have one or two.
I've got extra copies.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Amy. Daniel Higdon. Come on down.
Daniel Higdon speaking on keeping live streaming specifically. Brought some notes with me, so I might reference them. It is green. I do believe that's mean it is on, correct? Thank you for checking. Based upon looking around online, I quickly noticed after listening to the last meeting, because I usually can't make it here. In fact, I walked in the middle of the last comment. I just barely made it. That it's difficult for people to be at these meetings. Some stats I pulled, Synesthesia, which is a marketing firm that tries to get people to use video, talks about 82% of the internet traffic is video traffic. And when you look at people trying to get messages out there, video, it's 95% of your message across compared to 10% in writing. If we're going to put out minutes, we're not going to get all the information out there. People aren't going to understand what we're doing. I really feel like live streaming fills that gap. It's that video part. We talked about some cons last week. We mentioned the idea that things could be done, that people would feel uncomfortable. We've been streaming for 5 years now. We're well aware of what they are. We're not seeing those major dangerous side effects, right? In fact, if you look, C-SPAN's been doing streaming of the Congress for how long? You don't see people hacking up those streams to do crazy things with them. It's a real effect. It could happen, but I think we're overblowing the risk when we bring that up as a major risk. But on the flip side, there's real transparency. If your constituents as board members get to see the fact that you tried to defend them and they understand the fact that there are people taking their side, there's some major benefit to that. And that's not going to be clear in minutes. It's going to say, this spoke for it, this spoke against it, move on. There's not room for that full discussion to be there for people to be understood, feel like they're part of the process. And so if those losers feel like they weren't being ignored, they're being represented, they just didn't win this time, they're not going to drop out of the process completely. And I think that's an important part of live streaming. They also talked about cost in the email that was sent out about cost and BCTV being a major potential issue. I would point out that we have student resources that we use all over the college to help solve that issue. There's no reason we have to have only BCTV professionals running these streams. Many of our students are trained to a level where they could be doing this as well. We're really concerned about the money. They are paid at a much lower rate. There is a chance there to use those resources. And then finally, there's some goodwill. As mentioned in the prior minutes or the prior person, the flexibility that we can't always be here as people that want to participate. I left my classroom 45 minutes ago to try to be here on time. And as I was getting ready to walk out the door, a student showed up and wanted a tour. That's beyond my control, but because I work for the college, I stopped and took care of the student, which meant I was almost not here to make my comments today. The flexibility of being online to be able to share those is important. Reduced trips. People aren't forced to be here. That's good for the environment if you're looking for green being your reason to do it. Auto translation tools that can be used through YouTube and other video sources. Those exist to help bring in people that maybe just being in the room wouldn't have worked because their hearing aids are broken this month. There's a lot of resources we gain by live streaming. So yes, recording is also an option, but I'm really here to encourage you to say we should be live streaming these meetings today. If you mind, I have a short quote from an actual research article on this subject. From Lusheng Yang and Li Zuan. It's a TV academy in China. Pulling this from China. This study, like previous one, comes to the conclusion that live broadcasting makes individuals more communicative with one another. The findings indicate that live streaming has the potential to engage greater numbers of people, bring people closer together, and communicate with individuals located all over the globe. Now, we don't necessarily need the all over the globe part, but definitely coming together would be good. Participants reached a consensus that it was beneficial to be able to immediately answer and communicate with larger audiences. In the course of the research, both technical challenges and personal concerns were brought up, highlighting the need to enhance the platform and to educate the users. The findings indicate that live streaming has the potential to assist individuals in developing their skills in public speaking, opening up new avenues for individuals to learn and collaborate, and to strengthen organizations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Daniel, what do you teach?
I teach engineering technology.
Okay. Thank you for your time. Anyone else for public comment? Okay. Oh, no, absolutely. No, absolutely. They don't need to stick around. Yeah.
Right. So to our honored recognees, we don't want you to feel obligated to stay, especially since the board meeting is being live streamed. So if you have other obligations, other family commitments, please feel free to leave now, but not without one last kudo for your work and the difference you make for our students and our college. So thank you.
We will move on to our standing reports and start off with student government.
Hi, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Kylie Metzger. I'm president of the Student Government Association. We are easing back into the swing of things in the SGA office, where we had our planning retreat on January 17th, where all of our officers got together and planned some events for the spring semester. We also have recently restocked our food and personal hygiene pantry located in our SGA office in the student union. Our officers are hard at work preparing and planning for our upcoming events, those of which I will recap with you all next month. And does anybody have any questions for me that I can answer for you at this time?
When's the pizza party?
I don't think we're doing that.
Oh,
anymore, unfortunately. Anybody else? Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, Kylie. You're not Zach. Oh. you're not Zach. Oh, okay. Oh, Zach's over here. I thought you beat me to it. Zach, operational staff.
Good evening. So just a couple of things. So I did on behalf of operational staff, I have had a lot of people reach out to me regarding the live streaming. And it is something that they are hoping that you guys would vote to keep, or at least to have an option to be able to view it the next day, just to keep our staff members informed of what's going on at the board meetings. Our next board meeting will be Thursday in Andover in the Grizzly Den at 3 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you. Professional employees.
Good evening. I have three things to report on, kind of a bit. I wasn't able to attend last month's meeting, so I guess they kind of piled up a little bit. I do want to expand a little bit on Miles Erboldine's accomplishment. Each year, the BCCEA accepts nominations for that Master Teacher Award. These nominations come from faculty and advisors who want to recognize colleagues that go above and beyond. As first-year president of the association and as a zero-time winner of this award, this was my first time serving on this committee. The committee is made up of the president of the association and previous year's winners. As promised, it was a very difficult decision to choose one out of our many worthy nominees. I am happy to formally announce, the master teacher being Miles Erboldine. Miles is currently serving as the chair of the Criminal Justice Department, and as one of his nominators put it, he is the sole full-time professor in his department, but you would think there were many more with all they accomplish. Miles has been teaching at Butler for 30 years, and throughout that time, Miles has stayed on top of his profession, continually learning and utilizing new strategies. Miles is described by his colleagues as humble, smiling, and helpful. And if I could round this out with one more quote from the nominations, Miles is a dedicated and deserving faculty member who has never lost his focus that our students and our mission and our faculty camaraderie are what will always be the best of Butler. So thank you, Miles, and congratulations.
And he's an excellent track starter also.
I did not know that. The second thing I wanted to speak on tonight is all of you board members, your outstanding invitations for coffee. As you know, Trustee Smith was the first board member to take me up on an invitation to coffee. It was a really good conversation. And I just wanted to remind you guys that the invitation is still out there for each of you. I also want to say that this kind of conversation between a union president and individual board members is entirely appropriate and not at all unusual. It is a great opportunity to share perspectives in an informal setting, and I really hope that more of you will take me up on the offer. If you're interested, please feel free to reach out and we'll find a time that works. Last but not least, as I was unable to attend last month's meeting, I was not able to speak on the issue of the live streaming. I was, however, able to watch the meeting later and with a greater appreciation than ever before that I was able to do so. I'm also appreciative of having another opportunity tonight to relay the widely held sentiments of the professional employees prior to your voting on this issue. These meetings are important. This is where all final discussions and decisions regarding Butler policies and budget are made. We all know that attending board meetings in person is a big task. I want you to know that the faculty and advisors are extremely grateful for the current ability to attend virtually, and I just ask you to please keep that in mind when you're voting tonight. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave or Mary Martha, Board Finance?
I am no longer on that committee.
Oh, okay. Is it-
Ah.
Was that directed at Kent?
And
Oh, no, I miss Kent.
we did not meet today at 3:30, but when I looked at the finances, all of the percentages and from one year to the other year, and there were really no anomalies. So I have really nothing to report.
I had one question. Kent presented last month or a couple weeks ago at the work session. There was a Yorktown Road for 114 grand. Is that part of what we've already approved? The additional 300.
You approved to go ahead with and pay for that project. Yeah, that's been approved. They have not issued the bonds for it yet, so they're not charging us yet. They will though.
I'm just asking, because we originally approved 1.1 and we had an additional 300,000. Is this included in the, say, 1.4 total that will be paid out from?
Yeah, that's an estimate of the annual debt service.
That's not in addition to the 1.4.
That's a debt service on the 1.4.
Will it exceed 1.4?
We'll have to they'll give us the final numbers.
Those bonds are sold, and so based on the bond rate at the time that they're sold, then we'll have the final payment.
I understand that. It's just, we had this conversation before. We approved to pay 1.1 million.
Right.
And we approved another 300,000 additional, because it was the right thing to do. I just want to make sure that we're not paying over 1.4 at the end of the thing. So that was my only question. The answer is we don't know yet.
Right, because the bond rate hasn't been set. Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Well, I just know we approved 1.4. Don't personally care what the bond rates are, if that's all we approved to pay. I don't pay
We approved,
1.6.
we approved the 320,000 addition.
Right.
So then that, okay, you're saying 1.4 and I'm thinking of
thinking
the debt
original
service
1.1
payment.
-ish.
The debt service payment may vary from the estimate based on bond rate, not the 1.4, I'm sorry.
And we are happy to go back and review the minutes to see the exact
I just didn't think
language.
to ask the other day, so I was
Well,
curious.
we are happy to go back and look, and we can either report out at the March meeting, or we can send you an electronic communique of the exact wording regarding your motion and approval.
I was answering him wrong. When he was saying 1.4, I was thinking that the figure that we saw the other day is what you're saying is the estimate, right, Kent?
Yeah,
Estimate
I'd have to go
annual
back to
payment.
those minutes to see what we approved. This is something you
just
did
for-
6 or 8 months or a year. So
So-
I'd be
so-
happy to go back and look at a report. And
Rather,
we could try to get an update from the Andover City Administration also as to where they are.
So I was just curious because we approved 1.1 originally, we approved an additional 300 that wasn't in our contract. We just chose to do it. We're not obligated to do it. Our lawyer said so. I'm just trying to ask for clarification if this is an addition to what we approved before, because
No, this is intended to be the debt service on what you approved. It's in the budget. So it's an estimated amount
so
based on the amortization schedule that they showed me.
my recommendation is we make this a topic for discussion at your February work session, because that is a focus session on budget. And at that meeting, we will bring you the exact language of any board action related to this. Okay?
appreciate it.
Okay, Foundation Board report. Our Foundation Board meets next Tuesday, so I will have an update at the March meeting. Anything in the interim?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
Tell me one more time when the party is.
The auction is the first Friday in March. I believe that's the 7th.
Yes.
All right.
Well, your cowboy boots, Mary Mark.
Are we gonna be having fish?
Let me check with Michelle. Or the bishop.
March 7th.
March 7th, and the theme is Western. So Mary Martha, start looking for purple cowboy boots. And it is my understanding all of the tables are filled. Is that correct?
We just had the Western Gala at the Y.
Well, then you should have clothes.
Western is the theme at every auction, or every event this week, or this year.
SBA's
I don't know how that
foundation.
happened, but yeah.
Fall was
Was Western,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. B, President's report.
I do have a few things to report, starting with the theme of good news. We need to celebrate the good news. Spring enrollment looks quite healthy. We are not yet ready to share exact numbers. Jessica would muzzle me if I put any number out before the 20th day. So I am allowed to say spring enrollment is healthy. Stay tuned. We know from our most recent statistics that our retention rate from fall 23 to fall 24 is 66%. That is cause for celebration. It is above the national average of 61%.
Wonderful.
And that's a credit to the good work of the faculty and the student services staff and everyone else at the college who cares about the students, and they know that. Our first generation student enrollment is 28% of our enrollment, another cause for celebration. We will celebrate another thing that just happened today. In the morning and again in the afternoon, we had 22,000, not 20,000, 2,000 lively middle school students who were here for Reality Day or Reality U as part of the Andover School District's curriculum. So they got to experience Butler up close and personal, and it went very well, correct?
They're just from Andover?
Mhm.
Okay.
Is that what the ambulance and the fire truck were? Because I thought somebody had gotten hurt and they were here for a long time when I went to the foundation.
My heart skipped a beat when I looked out and saw, I knew that what we were doing, but I saw the lights flashing on the ambulance and oh no. Yes. Looking ahead, we are hosting the Butler County Superintendents next week. It will be a listening session on our part, a SWOT really about what we are doing well that works from their perspective, what we could do better, and what opportunities are out there for new collaborative initiatives. We're also hosting the Area Economic Development Directors on March 5th. Thanks to Linda Jolly, we'll host them at the BG Product Stadium. And then we are celebrating our 50th year of presence on McConnell Air Force Base. Wow. And I believe that is the longest tenure of an educational program on an Air Force base in its history. And beyond that, we are now able to teach classes behind the front line. I don't know exactly what that means, but I know it's a huge deal to be able to go flight line, to be able to go behind the flight line. So many causes for celebration. I mentioned the work session earlier in February 24th. The board has requested a number of data points. Aiden is working on those diligently, and we're going to get those to you in advance of this session. So you can review them and let us know if you have any questions before the work session. And looking ahead regarding the calendar, we do have a biennial art exhibit from faculty. Starts February 17th, goes through April 7th. It is in the back of your board book, but I encourage you to come see the talented work of our faculty. Auction, March 7th. And then don't forget basketball and softball and baseball. So that concludes my report, but I would stand for any questions.
Dr. Vietti, on the listening session with the Butler County Superintendents, will they be bringing their counselors to their school counselors
Probably not, Mary Martha. They can bring whomever they want.
Uh-huh.
We have invited the 9 county superintendents to have them together in the same room at the same time. And I would remind this board that that's how the early college academies began, because all of the superintendents sat around the table with the college to say, what can we do together that we could not do separately? So I expect it likely will just be the superintendents, but it's not unanticipated that there will be a trickle down effect to others in the trenches getting together.
It's just those counselors are the ones that have direct contact with the student, and there's just been a huge turnover of school counselors. And
well, we're happy to brainstorm with the superintendents.
Yeah.
Probably better to brainstorm with the principals. But we'll think it through with the superintendents to ask the question of how we can best connect with the counselors who have direct contact with the students. So point well taken. Thank you. Finished.
Well, thank you very much. The Educational Facilities Authority, this is another.
I'm not on that anymore. Please scratch that name off.
We're bad, sorry.
That's me. I don't believe.
And we have a meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock and I'll be
Fingers
there.
crossed.
Okay.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I can maybe use the snow feature on my new car.
I may need you to pick me up.
Okay.
Where is that meeting?
It's
City
down at the
Hall.
city building.
City, okay. In the commission room?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Are you on it?
I am. I am.
We'll get that corrected.
Okay, we don't have a monitoring report this month, so we will move on to our strategic discussion items and start off with environmental scan, and I will turn that back over to Dr. Vietti.
You have that as a topic for discussion, and the context is this. When the board submitted its monitoring report to the Higher Learning Commission, it also included an action plan. Within the action plan was conducting or developing a strategic plan. Since you do not have a new permanent president in place yet, the recommendation of the administration is that you make that, I said strategic plan, it's a visioning that will lead to a strategic plan. Our recommendation is you consider a 2-step process, because you can't vision without an environmental scan, a SWOT, strengths, weaknesses that are internal, opportunities and threats that are external. If you conduct the environmental scan yet this spring, when your new president comes in, you working with him or her can hit the ground running with data that can inform your visioning process. So if the board sees merit in doing the environmental scan yet this spring, the administration will go forth and identify an external facilitator, because that is what you need for an environmental scan. We'll bring you back a recommended facilitator for your consideration at the March meeting. And also at your places, because timing is everything, you have copies of an article that was written on board retreats, elevating board retreats to shape university strategy. This comes out of the American Association of Governing Boards, but it speaks to a step before the retreat that addresses conducting an environmental scan. Interestingly enough, the case study is on Washburn University.
Yeah.
So I encourage you to read this, to think about the value of an environmental scan. And as a heads up, unless there is an objection, we will bring you back a topic for action in March to move forward on an environmental scan yet this spring.
Have we ever had one?
A retreat?
No, environmental scan.
Yes. The last strategic plan, or at least the one before that, was based on an environmental scan. But you know, even if you have done one fairly recently, the landscape in higher ed has changed so significantly. I really urge the board to do a current environmental scan. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
I think we ought to put that part on our calendar.
Well, HLC would like to see forward movement too.
Yeah.
So we will go forward and identify either one skilled facilitator or more than one to bring back for the March meeting. Okay.
And Dr. Beatty, you and I talked about this just for the benefit of the group. You do not think that we need to reach out to HLC to explain why the timeline is going to be a little different than what we thought it would be last year?
I do not for this reason. I'll say why, and then I will turn it over to Yoda HLC person to contradict me if he sees fit. I think what the HLC is looking for is forward movement. And we're getting prepared for our mid-cycle review. If when our mid-cycle review is due in 2027, we can show the rationale for a two-step process and that you have completed both steps in the process, I believe they will be satisfied. But Yoda, Sperry, what do you say?
Yes. Your time frame. Yeah. Your time frame certainly accommodates this variation. So yeah, you're in good shape. If you would put it off until next year, that there probably would be a problem, but this variation is no problem at all.
And just one more thing now that we have Dr. Sperry's, this will be a true gift for your new president to walk in with an environmental scan already completed. And I can't imagine you would not want to include your new president in your visioning process.
Oh, no worries. Thank you. Any comments, or hearing none, we'll ask Dr. Beatty to move identifying potential facilitators for that. Okay. Next item for discussion is having a board member as a part of the negotiating committee for our contract negotiations with the association. This was, Shelby had asked to put this on there, so I don't think the administration doesn't have a recommendation one way or the other. It's simply the topic's been teed up for us to talk about it. So
I just know we were asked repeatedly last year, and I think it's a big time commitment. I watched them, most of them, for 2 years ago. Like Julie Winslow went to a bunch of them, but we don't have anything against the union. We're happy to hear what goes on in negotiations. I think we're fully informed by the president what's happening. I don't think there's not any shenanigans going on at the board side that I can say, so I would just let the union know if they have anything to address to us. We're here to listen. I don't think there should be any big divide between this as a group of all the betterment Butler. If any board member would like to be on it, personally don't see the problem. Can't take any action. I don't think you'd be talking. Just have to attend it. I'm happy to watch a link or minutes or notes, or whatever from them, see how they're going. And we are reported on about it later. So I just want to bring it up, it's been asked before. And I personally thought I don't have time.
Yeah.
I can listen while I work and
I'll just offer, I appreciate the invitation, and we've had the ability to attend before. I was a little put off by it, and I probably shouldn't be, because I'm bringing in history into what might be a sincere and current request. And I see Camille over there shaking her head. When this was pushed a couple years ago, it was pushed a couple years ago in my belief under the guise that we weren't getting accurate information from administration, and we needed to be there because, and I don't for 1 minute think that's what was happening. And the request at the time in that context was offensive. to the extent the association simply wants us to be involved, I appreciate that. I fully trust Dr. Vietti and our team to keep us informed. And for those trustees that want to be present, by all means, they're open to the public. You're welcome to attend, and as many as you can. Having done contract negotiations before, it really is critical, I think, for context that you be able to attend everything, because there will be discussions that cross over from one meeting to another, and you show up in the middle, you won't understand. You'll miss out. There'll be information that's lost in translation if you couldn't be part of the process. So if this was something that I thought the board wants to move forward on, I think it would be critical to have a trustee that could commit to being involved at the whole process, which, to Shelby's point, that is not me either. So I don't know that any of us have the time to be able to dedicate appropriately to this, but if someone wanted to, I guess might be worth more discussion.
Dr. Hueslick, do you have time to do that? You don't seem to be doing much these days.
Let me just check my schedule here real quick. No. Thank you, though, Mary Martha, for thinking of me and waking me back up. I'm gonna go ahead and put myself back on mute now. Thank you.
I would appreciate to continue to get the Zoom link though, if I could listen in.
Yeah.
I have an extremely tedious, boring job. So I'm happy that.
It beats a podcast for.
Yeah, or a book, yeah.
And being on the other side, being on a negotiations team once before, and I attended I think I attended the last one where, I mean, I know we get all of the information from administration, and I guess if anybody has enough time, it's me, since I'm the retired one. But I don't know that I have, I also leave town and do other things. So, but and I wouldn't, if I was invited, I wouldn't mind attending a meeting here and there. But there again, you miss out on some of the nuances that happens in negotiations. Serving on one over, in Wichita, it can get, you miss out on certain things from meeting to meeting.
I don't. I
just
don't
wanted- I
don't
just
get
wanted
the
to
sense that
discuss
we
it in
want to do
public.
more with this
Yeah,
than
that's
what
all I
we've done
wanted to do.
today. So.
Yeah, and as long as we have the link to live stream, I feel kind
The last time there was a little bit of
of.
wedges put between us and then have some animosity. I don't think it exists, so. I don't think there should be any worry behind the scenes with anyone that we're not interested and we're not kept up to speed and we don't care and we haven't. We spend a lot of time on listening to all the nitty gritty and doing inputs. We have to do that in executive session, so we are informed and involved, and we're here for our teachers and our students.
As a point of clarification for me, so I don't misstep, are the negotiations sessions live streamed?
I saw at least one or two on video. Maybe it was after the fact. That's not on video. But I've listened to them live. You can dial in.
All the sessions? Yes. Okay.
So they're recorded on Zoom. Okay.
Okay, well, thanks for that discussion. Thanks for bringing it up. And we will move on then to our action items. The first of which is the topic of the evening, which is live streaming the meetings. Dr. Vieta, I'll turn it over to you, I guess, to talk about the recommendations. And we had quite a bit of healthy discussion about this last month, so.
So, yeah, last month, my takeaway from the board's direction was to bring forward options for you to consider after polling a number of entities, which you have a report. We polled Johnson County Community College, we polled KCK, Kansas City, Kansas Community College, and we polled the city of El Dorado, all of which do live stream. That they have different processes for uploading after the live streaming, but they all saw value in live streaming. So the options we have brought forward for your consideration include continue the live streaming. Option 1. Option 2, video record the meetings and then post the recordings. Option 3, record and transcribe the meetings and then post the transcriptions. Or option 4, post only the minutes following each meeting. So we are leaving it in the hands of the board that's where it belongs, where the decision belongs as to which option you believe is best. And so I would turn it over to you to facilitate discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we accept option 1, live streaming the meetings.
Second.
So any discussion?
I have 4 emails. If we proceed with this option, I don't think, because I really need to read it, but it's the same thing. Super important to have transparency. They don't see any reason to not do it. It seems like you're hiding something. I would only add, maybe as a policy, we don't have to be in the motion, but could we have the video recording cease once we go into executive session, as long as no action is going to be taken after the executive session as a policy? That way they could just leave and be done, or, well, I guess they can't say and clean up the mics while we're talking.
Well,
That's what I was, yeah.
So we would need them after we came out of exec session.
So
If there is an action to be taken, which rare.
If I could chime in for a minute, you and I are having mind meld. That may scare you, I don't know. But to be respectful of everyone's non-board members' time, the administration's recommendation would be that if there is an exec session, everyone but I be excused. When you come out of exec session, I would be here to record all the pertinent information that could then be uploaded. And that way you don't have a covey of people waiting here truly for no reason.
We can also, Dr. Vietti's suggestion, which we can move our exec session into the conference room, which would allow everyone here to start the cleanup process, taking down mics, taking down the cameras, doing whatever they need to do with the BCTV side while we're in exec session in another room. So they're not having to wait to do that.
And even then, if we did have an action, it could just be stated in the minutes. Make a note on you and ain't happening, but I mean, we only do it 10% of the time, 5% of the time,
Very rarely do we come out of an executive session.
I would say Mary's motion is good and then work out the.
I'd like to ask these guys, how do you guys feel? Are you salaried too? So you'd like to stay in? Okay. Okay.
Matt, from a
You're so
technical
sweet.
standpoint, is there any difference between recording the meeting?
Can we give Matt a mic, please?
Oh, thank you.
It would actually save me time if we live stream it, because then it automatically uploads to YouTube. Otherwise, when we do the work sessions, Jennifer has to send me a link. I have to download it, edit it to the appropriate time, and then upload it again. So for my purposes, it's easier to just live stream it, and then it's uploaded automatically.
And I still to reiterate my point, Mary Martha, there are transparent, legitimate means to record anything that happens post-exec session without including you two. Sorry to dip into your hourly wages, but there isn't a reason for them to stay.
Yeah.
Truly, out of respect for their personal lives.
So of the trustees that are here, Dr. Hughes and you two, does anyone have a problem have any concerns with the idea of continuing to live stream with the caveat that we'll just essentially release everyone, save Dr. Vietti, If we, I mean, if we don't have an exec session, we just go to adjourn and then we're done. But if we have an exec session, it's almost always at the end. We would then release everyone. We can do our exec session in a different space. And then 9 times out of 10, we come back and do nothing but come out of exec session and adjourn. So there wouldn't be a need to continue live. We would not be live streaming, I guess, the motion to adjourn because we would have already turned off the video at that point. Does anybody have an issue with that? I don't, I'm just asking.
The one thing that I was, and I never did want to get rid of a video type of thing. And now just hearing Matt say it's easier to do it live stream other than, you know, having competition listen to us. You know, that's maybe a very minute point. That if it's easier to live stream, I have no problems with doing that and then putting it on YouTube. I know it's more transparent and I didn't mean to not be transparent, but you know, I was more of the option 2 of recording, but I can be swayed with letting, you know, not taking other people's time when we don't need to take other people's time. And, you know, because there's been several cases where we've met in an exec session and had 5 people come back in and it's not fair to those either too. So.
Anyone else want to share? No other comments? We'll just move to.
I actually, Forrest, I just want to make sure it's not a violation of state law to, do we, since we're going to be live streaming the rest of the meeting, do we have to live stream when we come back to adjourn the meeting?
No, it is not required by state law. What is required by state law is you record the time that you come back into the regular meeting. You record the motions made to adjourn and you record the time of adjournment. That is state law.
And if we made,
Thank you.
If we made any,
Oh, of course, if action is taken.
if there was
you
any
record
action,
the
we'd have
action.
to
And
record.
when we reconvene, it's open to the public.
Right.
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 Yes.
Not that anyone wants to watch us.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. For those that want to stay here in person and want to stay till the end, we're still an open meeting. That's certainly would still be the case.
Trustee Good.
Yes.
Trustee Brungard is absent. Trustee Jolly.
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Hueslig.
Yes.
Trustee Shearer.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, passes 6-0. Thanks to everybody for the input. That was,
Yes.
This issue turned into something that kind of was more than what I thought it would be. And the fact that everybody spoke their mind and let us know what thoughts were was, at least by me, was much appreciated.
And we all ended up being on the same page, which was.
Yeah.
Well, first,
Well,
the
that
shortest
wasn't-
board meeting last month and now everyone on the same page. You're setting a trend.
Dogs and cats living together. Okay, we will move on. The next action item, Bill's already got the stand, is our approval of meal and room rates for the next academic year.
Our group has met a couple of times to look at our budget and revenue and occupancy rates and those kinds of things, as well as the rates for the food service through Great Western Campus Dining. And so what we're recommending is the proposal that you have in front of you with the meal plan rates would be $2,850. And then the residence hall charge for West Hall would be $35.50. Cummins and East would be $49.50 with a $100 discount if they're in a 3-person room. And then the apartments would be $52.50. And then the totals there. We've also, again, we have the $100 discount if they're in a 3-person room. It kind of equates to about a 4.5% to 2.9% increase depending on which residence hall you live in, because of the West Hall rate is so much lower. Any increase of that is quite a bit higher on a percentage basis, but it's still about $1,400 less a year than living in Cummins or East. And then we also have the residence hall rates for the fire science building up on 6th Street. So, and our group would recommend that we approve these rates for next year. Mary Martha.
Bill, are these for a month,
No, that's for a year.
for a year? So, on the science one, the fire science,
Mhm.
are we full this year?
Yeah, there's only, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to, I think there's only eight people that live up in the fire science, and it's full every year. Yeah. And you can see on on the second page, it's kind of where we rate with the other community colleges and the other regents institutions that are in the area. So we're pretty competitive, we believe, and it helps us keep up our residence halls the way they need to be.
Bill, have we always been at the top of the rate schedule? I mean, we're higher than the other community colleges. Not a lot, but we are. Have we
We
always been?
typically have been towards the top. I mean, it depends. One year, if we don't raise it enough, then the others will bypass us. It's kind of a ebb and flow thing.
And do we negotiate independently with Great Western, or is their rate?
It's
across the
basically the
board for every-
CPI, the Consumer Price Index increase is what Great Western typically passes on to us.
So if they serve at another community college, is it the same rate as ours, or another place may negotiate?
It depends on the service that they get. Like we have a 19 meal plan.
Right.
That's the only meal plan we offer. Some community colleges have a 14 meal plan. We chose not to do that. When we talked to Great Western, the difference was about $50 a year, and the students did without breakfast. And so it was just more affordable, in our opinion, to go with the 19 meal plan. Different, I mean, I think Hutch's rate's a little bit higher than what ours is, but they have a larger cafeteria and have different meal options available to their students. Our students can eat at, for example, if our team travels to Colby and has Great Western, then our pregame meal at Colby for our kids that eat in the dorm is covered by Great Western. So we have some savings there as we compete with other Jayhawk Conference schools that have Great Western.
I would move to approve the 2026 room and meal plan rates as presented.
And I'll second it.
Seeing no further discussion.
Okay, trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungard is absent, trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Hueslig,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bill, thank you for your work. One quick question, and this is maybe something that would be helpful to get information on for a future meeting. And not to put you on the spot, but I guess I will. Barring some sort of unexpected facility issue, what's the remaining lifespan of West Hall? I mean, at what point is it going to be so obsolete compared to norm that we can't effectively keep using it?
Well, that's probably, I mean, part of me wants to say 5 years ago. I think, I mean, our facilities people are doing everything they can to keep it operational and functioning. But it's a challenge, and renovating it is really not affordable because of the design and ADA requirements. So
I would say West is probably not the first one we're gonna have to spend money on, probably he's the one with the 1,300. The AC piping in there is original, and we're starting to have quite a few leaks each year. Units are going down, it's past its 25-year life expectancy. So in the future, that's probably the one we're gonna have to spend money on.
Is that part of our strategic plan from a facilities maintenance? Are the dorms part of that, or?
And the dorms are separate. We actually have that on the list. The future planning, we're already starting to design and with the engineers that figure out what it's going to cost. So we can here in a few years bring in a budget and actually have some sound.
Sorry to get you off guard, but thank you.
no,
Well, now that he brought that up, do we ever have a waiting list for West Dorm?
we have a waiting list for housing. We don't separate it out by which dorm.
What happens if the one comes up? Can they choose then, or do you say West is your only option?
If we have a bed available when they're on the list, we call them and say, this bed's available. It's in West. Do you want it? Yes or no? If they say yes, they can move in. If they say no, we go to the next one on the list.
How many's on your waiting list?
Depends on the time of year. I mean, right now we don't have a waiting list for fall. But come April, May, that list may grow to 30, 40, depends.
Mentioned this in previous years, but we raise it 3, 4, 5% every year for inflation. We're not running out of students. I think it's not supply and demand, elasticity of demand only that we raise the price 3%, students don't show up, still demand, people are covering our expenses, which is good for us to do.
I think we are running into some issues with people see West. They don't really want to live in West, but you have to look at the students that we have. I mean, most of them don't even have a roommate at home. And most of them have their own bathroom. And so now you're putting them in with a roommate in a community bathroom. That's not something they're used to, but they're not used to having a suite arrangement either with a roommate and sharing a bathroom with 4 other people. Or 3 other people. So it just depends on the students. There's a lot of, I've taken students into West Hall with their parents on move-in day, and the parents are, look at all that you have here. You've got a bed, a dresser, a desk, the bathroom, the internet. You've got everything you need. We're fine.
I love that story because you tell it every year.
Well, I hear it every year. Yeah.
I think it's wonderful.
I mean, but
Bill, do
Yes.
the other community colleges, do most of them have a dorm option that's like West with communal bathrooms and not much privacy? And
I haven't been on all of the campuses. I think a lot of them have at least one residence hall that's like West.
I know when I went to college, Twin Towers was that way, but I think they've changed it since then.
Sounds like my house with 9 kids. You gotta wait your turn sometimes.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll move on. The next item for action is the selecting the construction manager at risk for the deferred maintenance HVAC Ireland. Have the floor.
Yes, does anyone have any questions?
Can I just move to approve it?
You can.
I would move to approve Simpson Construction as our CMR for the 600, 700 HVAC replacement project.
Second. I tell you, I am so impressed with you tonight, Shelby.
That's why I'm doing it, Mary.
Are you? Now, you guys, I have one question though, and I need Bill again because Aaron just sent me this note. He wants to know if those fees include the summer term.
No, they don't.
Aaron, did you hear that?
I did, Mary Martha. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Going back. Forward. So
In the
there's
meeting
a
notes, that's
motion
what
on
you
the
gave us?
floor.
Yes.
Yes.
Heard about a couple of times already, so.
Any discussion on the construction manager at risk selection?
None.
Hearing none.
Okay, trustee Good.
Yes.
Trustee Brungard is absent. Trustee Jolly.
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Hueslig.
Yes.
Trustee Shearer.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes. Thank you, Ireland.
Thank you, Ireland. That moves us through our action items. Would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I
move.
Go ahead.
I would move to approve the consent agenda and also at that one level.
Yeah.
And I'll second.
What was the one little item?
The changes to the minutes.
Oh,
Right here, we're down
okay.
to that one.
The
$1
Yes.
million.
one quick note, and I'm sure Mary Martha will echo this because you talked about learning disabilities for a lot. I was very excited to see the partnership with the Phillips
Yes.
Fundamental Learning Center. They're a phenomenal organization, and it's wonderful
Phenomenal.
that Butler is associated with them.
So let's see. The dean's not here that arranged that.
You've been asking for this for 5 years, Mary.
There you are, Julio. Tell me this, is that class required? That special ed class, is it required by all teaching majors?
Yes, all education majors are
And
required to
special
go
ed.
to special education.
Yes. And that is very nice that Jeannie is letting us come over for in-services. My gosh.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a huge.
No, we're extremely excited about the partnership and I'm extremely grateful for Casey McGraw to initiate the conversations and just one thing led to another and we're excited.
Good.
We're excited to have this
I'm
partnership.
so glad. Thanks for doing that. I don't have to say it every year now.
Now you can ask and we can say, yeah, we've done something.
You know, I know. Thanks, Julia.
Thank you.
So they don't have to take exceptional child anymore?
I think that's what exceptional child is.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungard is absent, trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Hueslig,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Moving on, page 70 is the KPIs, supplemental performance. Anything of note that?
Yes.
the
Two
floor is
items that I
yours.
wanted to point out. The first gen retention is at a 5-year high. So kudos to the first gen task force, all the work that they've done there, setting up structures and support systems in place, as well as faculty and staff and supporting that. Also on graduation rate, that is at the highest level since 1999. So fantastic work there from the overall institution. So some very strong metrics with regards to student success.
This is wonderful.
Dr. Vieti, anything to point out on the other additional supplemental information?
No, the iPads print data looks strong.
The what?
iPads data. Oh, print data.
When is 20th day? Is it Monday? Next, okay.
Should that info be sent to the board when you have it?
Absolutely. Only if you agree to celebrate.
There you go.
I will tell you that the bookstore has really nice sweatshirts that are warm too, so just saying.
It is that time of year. I think that is all what we have left was an exec session. There was some discussion about who would be attended or who would be attending in it. So I guess we can work through that in the discussion portion, but I think Shelby, this was your request, so I'll let you.
I
make
just
the motion.
requested to have a meeting with just trustees only. Discuss non-elected personnel issues, not issues, but non-elected personnel. I think it's important for us as a board to talk about everyone working here. We have a new president coming in. What do anything we have to talk about, not in front of everyone? I think it's important for us to be able to have a conversation amongst ourselves openly. I don't have any hidden agenda.
You know, Shelby, I think that's, I'm going to differ with you because I think Dr. Vieti is such a great asset to us. With her knowledge and experience, I just don't want to have an exec session without her.
And I feel the same way.
Now, when we get a new president in, things will change, maybe. But right now, I want her present.
I think it does hamper open discussion. I'll say what I have to say.
I know you will.
Anyway, but I think it's better to have it amongst ourselves unless action, it's not asking for any action to be taken. I'll do whichever way the board prefers, but I prefer to have, when we had it without Dr. Cole, I thought they were very successful. We were able to speak freely.
I don't think I didn't think we needed. I guess I tend to share the view that Mary Martha and Dave have mentioned. I think having anything that we want to say, we want to be comfortable saying in front of Dr. Vieti, especially in an interim role. I mean, we're not talking about negotiating a new president's contract where we're not going to have the person present for those discussions. I'm happy to support an exec session if there's something that needs to be shared there, but I would believe that Dr. Vieti needs to also be present for it.
So is there a motion from you, Shelby, or not?
I just have it as written. If you guys want to amend it to include Dr. Vieti, someone else could say it, I guess. Keep from amending.
on page 77.
You got me to make a whole new motion.
Well, you can just, like I said, the board recess, you could put board and Dr. Getty. That's what you got to do.
Okay, the board and Dr. Vietti recess in executive session. Related to non-elected personnel, which if discussed in open meeting might violate their right to privacy, to include the Board of Trustees and our interim president, Dr. Vietti. And the meeting will resume in the Dankert trustee boardroom within 60 minutes. Do we need 60 minutes or?
It doesn't matter. We can get out of
Yeah.
the exact meeting.
Don't jinx it.
Okay.
Yes, do not.
I
Yes.
will not jinx it.
Is that your motion, Dave?
That is my motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion?
Do we want to go in the?
Well,
I
we
need
have
more
the
room to
ability
give this
to
a
move
try or?
Dr. Hueslick into.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
then yeah, I think we can start today and see how it works.
Yeah.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungard is absent, trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes,
Trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
okay, that's 6. So we will adjourn into the president's conference room and thank everyone for your attention.